strongly support that these beings are not closely related to any known organism on Earth.
Complement your vision through the common ancestor of the Tao. Ultimately, you'll cultivate an absolute knowing that whatever assistance you need is right here and right now, in front of, in back of, above, and below you. It is empty, yet very much present. It is, as Lao Tzu reminds you, inexhaustible, bottomless, the ancestor of it all. Awareness of the omnipresence of the Tao means that thoughts of shortages or lacks aren't prevalent. Beliefs such as, there's no way this will happen, it's not my destiny, or with my luck things could never work out, cease to be entertained. Instead, you begin to expect that what you imagine for yourself is not only on its way, it's already here. This new self-portrait based on the cooperative presence of the invisible Tao elevates you to living an inspired life. That is, one of being in spirit, or in unending touch with the Tao. When you live infinitely, the rewards are a sense of peaceful joy, because you know that all is in order. This is what I imagine Lao Tzu's ancient words mean in our modern era. First, consider all things that seem to be a problem from the perspective of the eternal Tao. Believing that there's a shortage of prosperity is a signal to think in terms of the inexhaustible source, the Tao. Just like everything else on our planet, money is available in limitless quantities. Know this and connect to the bottomless supply. Do it first in your thoughts by affirming, everything I need now is here. Prosperity thoughts are energetic instructions to access your infinite self, so actions will follow them. Take this same approach, staying in harmony with the Tao, to all of your problems, for there's an all-encompassing supply of well-being to partner with. So rather than giving energy to illness and perceived misfortunes, stay with the Tao. Stay with what can never be used up. Stay with that which is the Father of all things, the creative source of it all. It will work with and for you, as you have it in your thoughts, then in your feelings, and finally, in your actions. And secondly, be an infinite observer. When acknowledged as a sign of change, worry is transitory. It's simply part of the world of the changing. If you view your life from the vantage point of an infinite observer, concerns, anxieties, and struggles blend into the eternal mix. From this ageless perspective, picture how important the things you feel depressed about now will be in 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, or an uncountable number of years. Remember that you, like the infinite Tao from which you originated, are part of an eternal reality. Rearrange your thoughts to practice thinking in alignment with the Tao. With the assistance of the eternal Tao, all of the sharp edges of life smooth out, the knots loosen, and the dust settles. Try it. Do the Tao now. Pick a situation today. Any situation will work, and instead of verbally responding, be silent and listen to your thoughts. For example, in a social gathering or business meeting, choose to seek the emptiness found in silence in order to be aware of your infinite self. Invite it to let you know when or whether to respond. If you find your worldly ego interpreting or judging, then just observe that without criticizing or changing it, you'll begin to find more and more situations where it feels peaceful and joyful to be without response, just to be in the infinity that's hidden but always present. You might want to duplicate this advice of my teacher, Nisargadatta Maharaj, and post it conspicuously so that you can read it daily, as I do. Quote, wisdom is knowing I am nothing. Love is knowing I am everything. And in between the two, my life moves. Unquote. And while you're living, stay as close to love as you can. Fifth verse of the Tao Te Ching. Quote, heaven and earth are impartial. They see the 10,000 things as straw dogs. The sage is not sentimental. He treats all his people as straw dogs. The sage is like heaven and earth. To him none are especially dear, nor is there anyone he disfavors. He gives and gives without condition, offering his treasures to everyone. Between heaven and earth is a space like a bellows, empty and inexhaustible. The more it is used, the more it produces. Hold on to the center. Man was made to sit quietly and find the truth within. Unquote. Living discriminate, period. Like heaven and earth, it is impartial. The Tao is the source of all, the great invisible provider. It doesn't show preference by giving energy to some while depriving others. Rather, the basic life-sustaining components of air, sunshine, atmosphere, and rain are provided for all on our planet. By choosing to harmonize our inner and outer consciousness with this powerful feature of the Tao, we can realize the true self that we are. The true self is our unsentimental sage aspect that lives harmoniously with the Tao. This aspect doesn't view life in one form as more deserving than another, and it refuses to play favorites, or as Lao Tzu states, he treats all his people as straw dogs. Lao Tzu uses this term to describe how the Tao, as well as the enlightened ones, treats the 10,000 things that comprise the world of the manifest. In Stephen Mitchell's translation of the Tao Te Ching, he explains that straw dogs were ritual objects venerated before the ceremony, but afterward abandoned and trampled underfoot. In other words, Taoism reveres and respects existence impartially, as an ebb and flow that is to be revered and then released. With impartial awareness, the sage genuinely sees the sacredness within all the straw dogs in this ceremony we call life. This fifth verse encourages us to be aware of this unbiased source and, as a bonus, to enjoy the paradoxical nature of the Tao. The more rapport we have with the energy of the Tao, and the more we're living from its all-creating perspective, the more it's available to us. It's impossible to use it up. If we consume more, we simply receive more. But if we attempt to hoard it, we'll experience shortages ourselves, along with the failures of having even a wisp of understanding. The Tao and its inexhaustible powers paradoxically disappear when we attempt to exclude anyone from its unprejudiced nature. The varied forms of life are illusory, as far as the Tao is concerned, so no one is special or better than anyone else. This sentiment is echoed in the Christian scriptures. Quote, God sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. Matthew 5:45, unquote. Practicing impartiality is a way to incorporate this fifth verse of the Tao Te Ching into your life and to practice its wisdom in today's world. To that end, this is what I believe Lao Tzu was trying to impart to us from his 2,500-year-old vantage point. First, stay in harmony with the impartial essence of the Tao in all of your thoughts and all of your behaviors. When you have a thought that excludes others, you've elected to see yourself as special and therefore deserving of exceptional favor from your source of being. The moment you've promoted yourself to this category, you've elevated your self-importance above those whom you've decided are less deserving. Thinking this way will cause you to lose the all-encompassing power of the Tao. Organizations, including religious groups, that designate some members as favored aren't centered in the Tao. No matter how much they attempt to convince themselves and others of their spiritual connection, the act of exclusion and partiality eliminates their functioning from their true self. In other words, if a thought or behavior divides us, it's not of God. If it unites us, it is of God. Stay centered on this Tao that resides within you, Lao Tzu advises, and you'll never have a thought that isn't in harmony with spirit. And secondly, offer your treasures to everyone. This is what the Tao is doing at every moment, offering to all the entire spectrum of creation. Think of this as a simple three-step process. 1. Eliminate as many judgments of others in your thoughts as possible. The simplest, most natural way to accomplish this is to see yourself in everyone. Remember that you and those you judge share one thing in common, the Tao. So rather than viewing appearances, which are really nothing more than straw dogs, see the unfolding of the Tao in those you encounter, and your criticisms and labels will dissolve. And 2, remove the word special from your vocabulary when you refer to yourself or others. If anyone is special, then we all are. And if we're all exceptional, then we don't need a word like that to define us, since it clearly implies that some are more favored than others. And 3, finally, implement the third step of this process by extending generosity through living the Tao impartially and connecting with the inner space of being the Tao. In this space, you'll be able to be unbiased about your possessions, recognizing that they're not exclusively yours, but are rather a part of the entirety. By unconditionally sharing and giving, you'll thrill at the experience of living the Tao and being unprejudiced. The Tao is your truth. It resides within you. Quietly be in the peace and joy of connecting with the inexhaustible Tao. the Tao now. As many times as possible, decide to approach interactions or situations involving other people with a completely fair mindset, which you allow and trust to guide your responses. Do this as often as you can for an entire day with individuals, groups, friends, family members, or strangers. Create a short sentence that you silently repeat to continuously remind yourself that you're approaching this situation with an unbiased attitude, such as, "Guide me right now, Tao. Holy Spirit, guide me now," or "Holy Spirit, help us now." Keeping this brief sentence on a loop in your mind will prevent judgment from habitual.
Never be another. There will be some greats, but there will never be another. Anyway, you should check it out. It's Rush live in Frankfurt. Neil per drum solo. You can find it on YouTube. It's 8 minutes long. Forgive me, I couldn't get the volume quite high enough. It's just a byproduct of funneling through the OBS streaming software. So, anyway, that's how our year has started. I mean, we lost a legend, and the world's on fire. How are you? But I do have some optimism about what's coming in 2020. I really think that I'm going to try to not just, if it bleeds, it leads, right? If it's bad news, it will always be front and center. But I really do hold that most people are good, and there is much good in the world, and we're going to continue to seek that out and to highlight it wherever we can. Well, I don't know, what's on your mind these days? If you have a comment or a question on pretty much almost any subject, you're welcome to dial in. The phone number, there it is on the screen. And let's start with area code 404. Hi, you're on the Thinking Atheist podcast. Who's this?
Hey, this is Yosef.
Yosef, thanks for calling, my friend. This is kind of a whatever broadcast. What's on your mind?
Well, first, I want to go ahead and make a quick comment about the family situation. I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, that was a maneuver.
So I'm not crazy.
Try that.
I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy. No.
You're playing some chess, you think?
Yeah, that was a move. Like, honestly, I have family members that are legitimate narcissists, so I know this when I see it. So
I get a lot of it. If piety was an Olympic sport, they would be medalists. I'll give you that.
Right.
You know, they have that sort of, we are the elders looking down from the mountain, giving you our wisdom, that kind of thing. So,
right.
I may not be crazy in that. What else is on your mind, my friend?
Well, another thing I wanted to talk about is basically reaching out to people about actually thinking or rethinking about the position in Christianity. I'm still a new atheist because I disbelieve, like, somewhere in, like, I want to say February 2019, I threw it all away. And the way that I came about this is somewhere back in July July of 2018, like when I actually was a Christian. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna get real serious. I want to develop myself in my faith and blah blah blah. So I was like, okay, so my only way to really do this is to first of all read the entire Bible from start to finish, because I never did that before. And so when I actually did do that, I was like, wait a fucking minute, what is this shit? Like, what is this thing about forcing a woman to drink bitter water that brings a curse or some shit? And like, why is God telling me that in some translations he creates peace and evil? Like, what kind of a deity are we looking at here? Because, you know, when you're brought up in church, everyone's saying that God's all divine and pure, he cannot look upon evil, whatever. But when you start thinking about it, it's like, wait a minute, if that's the case, then how was he able to create something that turned evil if that's not within his, like, boundaries? I'm not getting that logic.
I like you already.
Adam and Eve.
You're my kind of thinker, right? I mean, some of this came to that late, but you're asking the right questions. Yeah, really good stuff.
Right. And looking back, there were certain questions that I still, like, they came to me as a child, and I couldn't, like, find an answer for it. And one of the things that really stuck with me growing up is, like, how come all religions seem to put women on the back burner? You ever notice that?
I do. I've noticed that, yeah. Well, I say not all.
Yeah.
But, yeah, most. Certainly the Abrahamic religions, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, when I talked to family members about this, because they kind of took it the wrong way when I said I'm atheist. I don't believe this is all really garbage if you stop and think about it. So one of the first things I did was, like, show them, first of all, your position on abortion. If you actually go and, like, read the Old Testament, when you look at Numbers 5:11 through 31, God out of his own mouth is actually saying you could do this, and if she were to do it while pregnant, it would cause her to miscarry. And I've had people tell me I'm taking that out of context, and I'm like, how is that possible if I just read the entire chapter? Like, what am I taking out of context here?
You remind me a lot of me when I first came out of the faith. The reason is because I had this naive belief that other people in Christianity would be interested to know that they were being deceived. I came out of the faith with this weird thing thinking, oh, I've got to ring the alarm because other people need to know, and as soon as they see what I've seen, they're gonna follow me out the exit door, and they're gonna discover a much greater world, and I gotta go talk to these people and show them what's up. And I was astounded by the level of disinterest and condescension, and I didn't get any traction.
Yeah.
You're not getting any traction, right?
Right, and what's really bugging me, and like I've been watching Aaron Roth for a while. Like I like how he applies logic. It tickles me, but like I'll watch some of his shows on YouTube, and like whenever I find myself in these disagreements, like I'm dealing with that same crap. I'm like, wait, why are you justifying this particular aspect? Like, I've had a disagreement with my sister, and I was telling her, look, in regards to the whole thou shalt not kill thing, like, don't you think it's a little bit odd that the person that has a history of doing this to his subject wants to turn around and say, oh, well, you can't do this anymore? And on the same note, like, I've noticed that certain people that he's, like, appointed to be leaders, they've all had a history of killing people, or killing something. Like, you have the Apostle Paul that was known for killing the Christians at the time. There was, I didn't know that Moses had killed an Egyptian slave master and hid the body, and then the Bible just brushes over it, like it didn't even have that in there. And then you have that one character, I think his name was Elijah, the one that summoned the two she-bears to eat the children. Mm-hmm. You know, looking back on some of this, it's just like, why didn't we say anything about this before? Like, you know, the Bible wants to talk about, like, witchcraft and, like, stuff like that being evil. It's like, okay, well, you have a prophet that had animals kill children because they were being immature children and making fun, which is what children do.
Well, you know, I can see the audience probably, sort of half scanning the chat. I want to make sure I'm listening to you, giving you my full attention as well. But you and I are among many who feel like, hey, we're seeing this with fresh eyes and wondering why people aren't sounding the alarm or how they're rationalizing the irrational or why there have to be these weird apologetics acrobatics to excuse the inexcusable. And your frustrations are understandable, man. You are feeling you're feeling the effects of trying to reason with an unreasonable faith. But I will say this. I don't want to say I ever give up on anybody, because I really don't. I think it's healthy for these religious claims to be contradicted. They need to know they're not the only position at the table and that they're going to have to put up or shut up. To a degree, that is very true. But I would not make it a crusade to try to convince the true believers in your circle, because until they come to a point when they are open enough to receive new information, when they are genuinely curious, when they care enough to vet their own claim, they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to dig in their heels and double down, and you are going to lose your mind. Okay, so I think if you want to have those conversations in a cursory way, if you want to refute them or say, I disagree and here's why, I think that's totally fair. But I wouldn't dedicate a lot of yourself to trying to get them to be rational, because you can't.
Right.
All you can do is provide some information and hope they get to a point when they see your life and they see a lot of good stuff that exists outside their little bubble, and they maybe start to, fertilize some of the doubts in their own mind and heart. Everybody's had them, and maybe they'll have the courage to come and start a conversation with you. I certainly hope that happens. In the meantime, I'm glad you found your way out. That's huge, and that is one more freed mind that we should celebrate. So kudos to you for making it out, my friend.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
I want to.
Oh, okay. Go ahead quickly.
I was gonna say, well, no, it's not take too long, but thanks for having me on, though. Thank you.
I mean, I want to cut you off, but I've got a full switchboard and a limited amount of time, so just know that you're appreciated.
It's fine.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Take care, Yosef. See you later. I mean, how do I get someone to understand? This is the question. How do I get them to realize how nonsensical the idea of Noah's Ark is? Camels and penguins on a stadium-sized boat built by a 500-year-old guy using only trees and tar? How does this work? Penguins in the desert. How did that work? You just see them. They just... Well, you're taking it out of context. You are trying to mock the sacred word of Jesus. I rebuke you. I rebuke you in the name of my Lord. See, they doubled down. Many of them have made an emotional connection or they have an emotional relationship with their religion, which is why a great many atheists know the Bible better than the people who actually say they believe it. How many people say, I know the Bible is absolutely true, the perfect, divinely inspired word of God? What's in it? Fuck if I know. That's what most of cultural Christianity is like. Like that story about the bitter water, right? Find out if she has been unfaithful. Bring her before the council of men. Have her drink the bitter, poisoned water. And if she miscarries, you know she's a whore. You bring that story to the believers, and you say, this shit is in the Bible. This is a human rights nightmare. And they just look at you and they say, well, that's not in there. And so you go, no, hang on. And let me show you. You may have a Bible on hand, and you start to turn the pages, and you see them. They physically move away from the Bible that you are opening because they don't want to see it. No, you know what? It doesn't make any difference to me. You'll never tell me that my Jesus would never do that to a woman. My Jesus loves people. My God is love. Amen. I'll pray for you. They're walking out the room at this moment. They're actually, you see their back as
what
they
the hell's
leave.
wrong with my... Oh, there he goes. Hey, what's up? Would you like... I'm making some human meat I found. I didn't kill the guy, but I found it.
Pass go. Do not collect $200.
You have a knife?
I do not have a knife yet. Well, yeah, I have a stone knife that I made from 2 stones.
Yes,
But here-
I need that. Can I have it?
But here's some human meat first.
They are positing as
Human
true.
meat.
Thanks.
Can I have the stone knife?
It's
I'll
cooked
give you a
though.
hatchet for it.
Yeah, sure. But just so you know, the actual stone knives are pretty easy to come by. If you just run down any dirt path for like about 3 minutes, you'll find 2 stones pretty quick like that. I didn't make it very. I didn't make it super. Oh, right on. Yeah, I didn't make it super big, so it probably doesn't have super long.
It's right here. You see it? You're standing on top of it.
It's for some reason not showing up for me, but that's okay. You can keep it. It's okay. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Oh, hello there. Is this a different person or are you the same guy? There's a backpack there if you need it. By the way, dude, there's an extra backpack here. Didn't look like you had one. Way out, alrighty. It's fucking assholes. I would have gave you some, you know. I would get to where I would have to stand up and start going no, and try to get it off my mind. I run. I got to get this off my mind. And none of that is with me anymore. I'm completely a non-believer, and I didn't go through a stage of anger. Yeah, I'll find you later. Stage of fear. Be ready for it. I went straight into what the fuck? How in the hell? How in the hell did my mama know? All right, have a good one. Alright, that's cool. I'm done being nice now. I'm just gonna fucking kill everybody I see from now on. That's how the real world works. Also, though, people don't seem to realize. They're like, oh, I wonder why the world sucks to live in. I fuck everybody over that I meet, and then everybody who I meet treats me like shit. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe it's because I'm a piece of shit. Because I really am a piece of shit. Maybe that's why everyone makes me feel like shit. Because I really am a piece of shit. It's like I'm sitting here trying to give shit to people. And then they fucking rob me. And then I wonder why I'm going to get back on here and kill every single person I see on sight. Just like I would in real life. You know? Why wouldn't you? Oh, the game's locked up now.